to our YouTube channel. This is Nexus Hub, and in Nexus Hub we are concerned, or we're specialized in treating all proficiency exams, and this is our YouTube channel and we're glad you're here. Thanks for watching, and please do not forget to like, follow and share. This is a very important video that everyone needs to come across. Alright, especially those preparing for proficiency exams like the IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, GRE and the rest, for migrating to countries, probably Canada, the United Kingdom and several other countries, but even in the European region. Alright, so like I said earlier, this is Nexus Hub, and Nexus Hub is specialized in trainings as well as what applications for these exams, as well as what admissions in those country of your choice. Also in Nexus Hub, we engage in websites and app creation services for your business, to give your business the global recognition it deserves. Remember, the world is going global and everyone has to do things the global way. So diving into what we have for today, very interestingly, today many people have been so frustrated by exams like IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, and the rest, especially the IELTS exam. And that is why we're here today, to bring profound solution to this problem. So today we're going to be diving into the IELTS True False Not Given question. Very interestingly, this is a particular section in reading, a particular question type in reading that gives many people challenges, and we're going to be tackling this particular challenge today. All right, we're going to be tackling this particular challenge today. Now, what is the true false not given question? Remember, in the IELTS reading, we have several question types where you have 40 questions to answer in 60 minutes. And in the last video, we treated how to manage time management, which is the major issue or factor affecting so many candidates in the IELTS exam, especially in the IELTS reading section. And today we're going to be treating the IELTS True False Not Given question, which is one challenging question type for many people. So now, what is the IELTS True False Not Given question like? Now, in the IELTS True False Not Given question, you are expected to provide a true, false, or not given, or yes, no, or not given answer to a given statement. All right. Now, the question is going to be true if it agrees with the information in the passage. It is going to be false if there is a contradiction with what the information in the passage. Now, not given if no information. That is ordinary. That is the level we know about the not given question. But if you are really so observant, you will find out that there are more to the not given answer than what we are told. And that is why this video has been made today, to enlighten us and to expose us to the deeper parts of the not given answer, and to help us do better in the true false not given answer. Yes, it is easier to get the true answer, but the false and not given answer are usually contradicted by so many candidates. And that is why this lecture has been organized, or that's why this video is made, to guide you, that candidate who has written IELTS multiple times and still facing challenges, or still banging instead of smashing the exam. All right. So from this information here, you would see about the task. Now the instruction says, read the information about the task type, then look at some notes a student made about the task. This student has made 2 mistakes. Can you correct them? Now, we are not looking at the mistakes now. This is one thing I want us to pay attention to. Now, they say a question is true if the statement agrees with the information. A statement is false if the statement contradicts the information. Information where? Information in the passage. And the question is not given if there is no information about it. And these are things you need to know about the true false not given question. Number one, the statement followed the order of information in the passage. Now, when you say the question follow the order of information in the passage, what am I saying in essence? What I'm saying in essence is, okay, let's assume you have a paragraph, all right? Sorry, a passage rather. You have a long passage, a lengthy passage, and then the first answer was gotten from probably the second paragraph, third line of the second paragraph. Now, if you're looking for the next answer, there is no need going to the beginning of that passage anymore. You ought to continue from that point where you found that particular answer. Okay, let's say the first answer, that particular point where you found the first answer, and then you just what keep going down. So it's just what a downward movement. You don't need to what repeat, or you don't need to what revisit an already past um part of that particular passage. So I believe you get what I'm saying. So back to what we are saying. I said the first rule is that what the question what follow order. The statement follow the order of the information in the passage. The second rule says the statements are not exactly the same as the wording of the passage, but they contain the same information. IELTS is very tricky that they love the use of synonyms a lot. IELTS love the use of synonym a lot. So they use synonyms oftentimes to confuse you, the candidate. But you need to be ahead of their game. You need to what? Beat them at their own game. That's why you ought to be familiar with the fact or with the idea or with the fact that yes, um, they usually use synonyms. Now over to the third. The third one says the statement includes some words and names that are also used in the passage. They help to locate the relevant information. Now that is what I talked about. I talked about what the use of keywords. I talked about the use of keyword. Keyword was as a means of finding an answer faster. It is in the previous video on what on time management. I talked about the use of keywords. Keywords are what important words from the question that help you navigate the passage and find your answers quickly without reading the entire passage. So I think you should go back to that video and pay attention to it and get the idea or the message it is trying to pass across. So this particular will say what there are words, okay, and names that are used that are also used in the passage. They help to locate the relevant information. Now you need to pay attention to that one as well. Then the next one says you read this information carefully and compare it with the statement. All right, carefully and compare it with the statement. So this is trying to give you a breakdown of um, what the IELTS True False Not Given question really entails. What it really entails, what it really looks like, what it is really what doing. Now, the next, you have what? After you have read information carefully and compare it to the statement, the next thing you need to do is what? To then decide if the statement reports the meaning of the passage exactly or not, and write true or false on what the answer sheet, or you write what? Not given. For some statements, there isn't enough information in the passage to know if the statement is correct or not. In this case, you write what? Not given. Okay, now these are notes you need to pay attention to. The first note says you're mostly reading for facts and figures. Pay attention to that. You're mostly reading for what? Facts and figures. The second says what the questions are in the same order as the information in the passage. So remember what I said about the first rule, say what they follow the order of what of the passage. Then the third says the question includes some words you find in the passage. Then the fourth says the passage contains some information which is incorrect. So that is what in a scenario where you're going to get the false answer. Then the last one says you have to tick the correct box on the answer sheet. Do you get? So these are just guidelines to help you um, answer the question better. But now we're going to dive into the most important part of this particular video, or the main reason why this particular video is made. That is to enhance and to help you conquer that issue you usually develop in answering between the false and the not given answer. So watch out for that. So Remember, I said a question is true if it agrees with information in the passage. A question is false if it contradicts the information in the passage. And we were told that a question is not given if there is no information found, information about the statement in the passage. But these days, we usually find information. So I came up with what three different scenarios that would make up a not given answer. Remember, if there is a direct contradiction, it is false. If there is a direct agreement, it is what? It is true. For instance, you're saying most Nigerians are Igbos. Nigerians are Igbos, and the passage, the question rather is saying majority of Nigerians are Igbos. This is same thing, all right? Most and majority, they're likewise saying same thing. So you can say yes, most Nigerians are Igbos, majority of Nigerians are Igbos. So that is what a true answer. That is just what the simplest scenario that makes up a what a true answer. Now, what I'm going to be talking on most importantly is what the not given question. There are three different scenarios that make up a not given answer. Now, the first scenario is this: factual and non-factual information. Example, let's assume the passage is saying P stands for passage and Q stands for question. Let's assume the passage is saying it is believed that Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa. And the question is saying Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa. Now, pay attention to the passage very well. The passage said it is believed, which means it is an assumption. Several people assume that Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa. Now, you pay attention to it very well. All right? It is believed. It is what? An assumption. But the question is stating it as a fact. Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa. The answer is not given. Why? Because it is a belief. All right? It is a belief by most people that what Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa. And the question is stating it as a fact that Nigeria is. So there is no evidence to back up the fact that what Nigeria is the most populated country in Africa. It is just a belief by most people. Now there is no evidence to what to actually counter or what support this particular claim. So this answer is what not given. Remember, I said the first scenario is what factual and non-factual information. So the passage is what is a non-factual information. The question is what a factual information. Now the second scenario that makes up a not given answer is what question emphasis. I call it question emphasis. You need to know what exactly the question is laying emphasis on, or what the passage is laying emphasis. So you should check what the passage is laying emphasis on. Likewise, you should check what the question is laying emphasis on. Now look at the example we have here. The passage says there was a national protest in Nigeria last month. Now this is declaring the fact that there was a protest. All right, pay attention to that. The main information there was what? There was a protest. Now look at the question. The question says most Nigerians participated in the national protest held last month. Now this is no longer pointing specifically at what the protest. Like yes, it was talking about the protest, but the major information there is not the protest. The major information there was the number of people that participated in the protest. Now they said most Nigerians. There was no information in the passage that stated that what the majority of Nigerians participated in that protest or the minority participated in that protest. So this is going to give us what? A not given answer. So remember, the second scenario that makes a not given answer is question emphasis. So you have to be very, very observant of what the question is actually what laying emphasis on. Do you understand that? Now, over to the third scenario, which is the last scenario that makes up the not given answer, which is what? Count. I call it counts. Right? Now, look at the passage and the question. The passage says most Nigerians are migrating to Canada. And the question is saying some Nigerians are migrating to Australia. Right? This is very clear. Do you get what I'm saying? this is very clear because Australia was not given, Australia was not provided, they provided Canada. Do you understand? Certain people will say this is false because they said Canada and then Australia is contradicting what? Canada. But this is what you need to pay attention to. The most and the sum. That is why I named it what? Count. The most and the sum. He said most Nigerians, which means the majority of Nigerians. Let's assume 70% of Nigerians are migrating to Canada. We are left with what? 30%. Now, the other 30%, where are they migrating to? Was it stated? Are they going to Australia, or they are traveling to Germany, or they're going to several other countries? There was no information to support the fact that, okay, this is their destination, or the 30% still remain in Nigeria, or it's just the 70% of people in Nigeria that migrate to other countries. These are just what's common examples I love using. They are real and what they are better for me. They are more practical examples for me. So most Nigerians are migrating to Canada. Some Nigerians are migrating to Australia. This is not given because they only gave information about what the majority of Nigerians, but they did not provide information about the minority, about what the other ones or the other people where they are migrating to. Do you get what I'm saying? All right. So let's assume now they said, what question should I put in there? Okay, let's still use this question. Most Nigerians are migrating to Canada. And then they said some Nigerians are migrating to Canada. The answer is what? Is automatically false. The answer is automatically false because they provided information about what? Most Nigerians. Do you get that? Most Nigerians, which means the majority, they are the ones migrating to where? To Canada. But the question is saying what? It is no longer the majority that migrates to Canada, it is what? The minority that migrates to Canada. That is a contradicting information. That is why we say what? It is going to be false. So remember the third scenario is what? Is count. Remember the third scenario is what? Is count. So pay attention to what? To each of these scenarios. Now I said the first scenario is what? Factual and non-factual information, where you what? Have to pay attention to the fact that, okay, is the passage stating or making its statement as a fact, making a factual statement, or it's making an unsure statement, or possibly a prediction or a belief, or a guess. Do you get what I'm saying? And then you look at the question. Is the question what? Um, a belief as well, or the question is what? A fact. So you have to what? Weigh the what? You have to make sure you what? You really checkmate these two information. Yes, use your keywords to navigate the position or the location of your answer, and then do your comparison and what? And contrasting. After which you provide your answer. I said the second scenario is what? The second scenario is question emphasis. Question emphasis, where you look at what the question and the passage is what? Is laying emphasis on. Now, the example was provided was there was a national protest. The emphasis was laid on the fact that there was a protest. But the question is laying emphasis on the fact that what? Most Nigerians participated. There is every possibility that what? Most Nigerians did not participate. Likewise, there's every possibility that what? Most Nigerians would turn out what? In their numbers. They came out what? Immensely for what? For this particular protest. So it is a two-way thing. And there was no statement what to actually what back up this claim that what most Nigerians participated. So we are unsure of what the answer is. And that is what we crown it up to be what? To be a not given answer. And I said the third scenario is what? Is count, where you look at what? Majority, minority, many, some, often. All right? Often. For instance, okay, now let me just add one more question to this. Um, um, okay, let's say, okay, each time there's a space, there's space exploration, astronomers often found something odd. During space exploration, astronomers often found something odd. The word often there means all the time. All right, it is what? It is a repeated thing. So it is something that what usually happens literally every time there's what? There's space exploration. And now imagine that is what the passage is saying. And then the question is saying what? Um, More than 10 years ago, astronomers found something odd. Wait, let me make it a better way. It is quite looking confusing in that context. All right, let's say the passage is saying more than 10 years ago, during space exploration, astronomers found something odd. Yes, this is better. More than 10 years ago, during space exploration, astronomers found something odd. That is the passage. And the question is saying astronomers often find something odd during space exploration. Now pay attention to what the passage is saying. More than 10 years ago. So they provided what a specific time that something odd was found during space exploration. But the passage, the question is rather saying what they find something odd all the time, literally all the time. What they embark on what space exploration. So there was no information backing up the fact that what there is what a repeated discovery of odd things or what unusual events during what space exploration. There was no evidence to actually back up that particular claim. They only provided information about a specific time, which is what more than 10 years ago. So after the 10 years, or before the 10 years, or from the 10 years down to this very point, possibly there should have been further what explorations after that particular time. But was something odd found at those times? We are unsure. We don't know if something odd was found or not. So you need to pay attention to words like often, most, some, more, things like that. So you really need to what pay attention to them. So these are the three scenarios that actually what make up a not given answer. So let's look at a question very quickly. Now this is a passage. This is a passage. Now remember what I said from the previous video. From the previous video, I said it is always advisable to visit the question first before going to the passage. That way, you have an idea of what you are going to answer. So let us look at the question very quickly. Now, this is the question. The question says, in recent years, cut flowers have become more expensive to grow in the Netherlands. In recent years, cut flowers have become more expensive to grow in Netherlands. What is the first thing we ought to do here? The first thing we ought to do here is what? Find our keywords. And I said what keyword? It is advisable to have more than one keyword in a given question. So in recent years, that's presently, pay attention to that. In recent years, they are talking about what is a particular time, a specific time. Cut flowers, which is what the subject of what of that particular sentence. So in recent years is one keyword. Cut flowers. Now more expensive, and then Netherlands. So they provided what a location, they provided a time, and then they provided what the subject, which is what cut flowers. So having what found your keyword, you ought to go and search for those keywords in the passage. So let's go to the passage and look for our keywords. Now look at that passage very carefully. If you go to the fifth line of the first paragraph, it said in recent years. So we found one keyword. In recent years, however, as labor and production costs have soared. Now the word soar, which means what? Become what? Expensive. Attention, okay, have soared. Attention there has shifted from flower production to flower trading. So they've moved from what? The attention have what shifted from flower production to flower trading. So rather than production, due to what the high cost of things, they moved what to what to the sales of what of flowers. And remember what was said. If you go to the sentence before that place we found, before that line we found our answer, you see that what they talked about Netherlands. So it is very clear that what that it is now expensive to grow flowers in Netherlands. It was stated there. So he said in recent years, however, as labor and production costs have soared. So which means what? It has what? Become expensive. So the first answer is going to be what? Is going to be true. All right. Look at the question. The first answer is in recent years, cut flowers have become more expensive to grow in the Netherlands. So our answer is going to be what? Is going to be true. Now to the second question. The second question says more people are employed in the cut flower industry in Kenya than in Europe. More people are employed in the cut flower industry in Kenya than in Europe. Now, this is one thing I want us to pay attention to. One thing I want us to pay attention to is this. You need to understand a question. You need to really understand the question to actually what? To actually find your answer and what? Provide a good answer to it. Now, they said more people are employed in the cut flower industry in Kenya than in Europe. So they made a comparison between Kenya and Europe in what? In terms of what? Cut flowers. And they said what? They have more staffs working or more people working in what in cut flower industry in Europe compared to what to in Kenya rather compared to Europe. So we have our keywords there: cut flowers, more people, all right, Kenya, Europe. So now this is one thing I forgot to chip in while we're answering the first question. Remember, it is in the previous video I said that there is what we call a focus word. After finding your keyword, you need to what? Look for a particular word. Take out a particular word from the list of keywords you've provided. Now, what is this word you're picking out? These are important words. You know that, okay, this particular word is likely not to appear multiple times in the passage. For instance, Kenya, Europe. All right? Kenya is one information that you can easily find. But when you're looking for something like cut flower, the entire passage might be talking about cut flowers. All right? But you have to look for a specific word that you know that, okay, this word, I can easily find it. And now this word is what? The word we're talking about is what? Is Kenya or we what? We go for Europe. But the best word to look for is Kenya. So let's move to the passage and then what? Search for those keywords and then provide our answer. All right. Remember, we found our first answer somewhere around the fifth and the sixth line of the first paragraph. So from that point downward, we continue. Now we start from what the word meanwhile. So after the word meanwhile, we found what Kenyan cut flower industry. So Kenya has been found. All right, cut flower industry. We found that one. Okay. Now they talked about what people, 2 million people. And they said the Kenyan cut flower industry has grown rapidly and now provides a vital income for around 2 million people. They stated, okay, they provide income for this amount of people. Now, remember what the question is saying. The question is not asking us how many people work in the Kenyan cut flower industry. Now, the question is making a comparison between Kenya and what? And Europe in terms of what? In terms of people, in terms of employees, population in the cut flower industry. Now, this only stated the fact that what? There were 2 million people in what? In the Kenyan cut flower industry. If you look further, there was no information about what? About Europe. There was no information about Europe. So there was no comparison made. They only provided what? Information about what? About the Kenyan cut flower industry. Now, looking at the question says what? More people are employed in the Kenyan cut flower industry. Okay, in the Kenyan cut flower industry than what? Than Europe. Pay attention to that particular information very well. Our answer is going to be what? Not given. Why? Because they only provided information about what? About Kenya and what the population of what? Of employees they have in the cut flower industry, but they made no comparison with what? With Europe. So there is every possibility that Kenyan surpasses Europe in terms of what? Employee population, or what? Europe what? Surpasses what? Kenya in terms of what? In terms of that population. Do you get that? So we are going to amount to what? A not given answer. Did you get that? Now the third one says flowers represent Kenya's most valuable agricultural export. Flowers represent Kenya's most valuable agricultural export. In terms of export, The most valuable what agricultural produce that what Kenya exports is what? Flowers. That is what they're talking about in general. So flowers, Kenyan, okay, most valuable agricultural export. Most valuable what? Agricultural export. So let us go to the passage and what? Search for our key words. And then afterwards we provide our answer. Now looking at that same first paragraph, the last sentence, after they said, remember we got the previous answer from the word, meanwhile, the cut flower industry has grown rapidly and blah 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 for around 2 million people. The next sentence says, it is the country's largest agricultural foreign exchange earner after tea. It is the country's largest agricultural foreign exchange earner after tea, which means tea is first. Understand. Understand. Now, the question says it is the most valuable. The question says it is the most valuable, which means there is none, no other what product that surpasses its importance. There's no other product that surpasses what of flowers. But from the passage, the last sentence in the first paragraph, they said it is the country's largest agricultural foreign exchange earner after tea, which means tea is what the most valuable. Tea is the most valuable. So this answer is going to be what? False. Look at it very, very, very well. The answer is going to be false because it is not the most valuable. Tea is the most valuable. And after tea, then you get what? Flowers. So paying attention to these details are very, 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 very vital. They are very, very important. All right? They are very important. So we've successfully answered three questions. I want you to answer 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. All right? 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then let me know the answer in the comment section. I'll be at the comment section waiting for you guys, and I'll be giving out gifts to the first three people with the correct answers. So I'm going to be giving out what gift to the first three people with the correct answer. So I'll be in the comment section waiting for you guys. Do not forget to like. Do not forget to like. Do not forget to share. Do not forget to what? To subscribe. Remember, this is Nexus Learning Center. This is Nexus Hub. And from time to time, we're going to be providing video lessons, video lectures like this to strengthen your what? To strengthen your grammar, to strengthen every aspect of what? Of these proficiency exams, and to give you that desired result you want. So have a nice day, and